you, everyone who sang, teachers, faculty, administrators, parents, alumni, friends, family, and of course, the class of 2014. You guys all look so good in these caps and gowns. I wonder why we didn't do this 4 years ago. When I was in 6th grade, my mom was convinced that school was a complete waste of time. It's pretty weird for an Asian mom, right? She thought that my days would be better spent practicing piano at home, working hard towards the performing arts career she dreamed I would have. Now, don't get me wrong, it was my dream as much as it was hers. But as a little kid, I didn't quite understand what it would take to become a successful concert pianist. This happened to be a period of time in which I desperately wanted a dog. I spent hours researching breeds that would be content to live in small apartments like the one we had. I looked at how much exercise they would need, or as my mom saw it, how many times she would have to walk the dog every day. And even narrowed my search to hypoallergenic breeds, which was probably necessary considering every member of my family is allergic to dogs. My dream dog was still the Shiba Inu, but I was pretty willing to compromise, which I think is a pretty impressive feat for a 6th grader. So one day in the car, I brought up the subject again. Mom, can we please get a dog? No, really, I've been looking and I found a breed that's perfect. It's hypoallergenic, it's not that big, it doesn't need that much exercise. She cut me off right there. How about this? If you agree to drop out of school, I'll get you a dog. Now, I don't know about you, but what I heard sounded more like, would you rather play with a puppy or would you rather do homework? Mom, are you sure? I'm sure. Do you promise? Yeah, I promise. Well, the next day I was being homeschooled. Forget college, man, forget high school. I was a middle school dropout. So when I say that school was a home to me, I meant it literally. I spent 3 years of my life wasting away my time just going through the motions. I loved piano, but I hated that it had been turned into a routine. Yeah, I got better at it, but I felt tortured at home. I had no friends, I rarely left the house. I didn't have any fun. And I never even got my dog. After the worst 3 years of my life, I was ready to get out of the house. I was ready to go to Stuyvesant. I was ready to be able to answer people with Stuyvesant High School when they asked me what school I went to, instead of just looking sheepish and saying, actually, I don't go to school. I was ready to learn, ready to meet new people, and ready to finally have some fun. I was also scared. I think we all remember Mr. Titel's infamous speech where he would tell us that every Stuyvesant kid wants 3 things: good grades, sleep, and friends, but you can only have 2. And to me, it was even more frightening considering that I wanted 4 things: good grades, sleep, friends, and piano, and I could still only have 2. But most of all, I was absolutely terrified of trying to make friends because I sucked at it. The entirety of my freshman year, I barely knew anyone. To some people, I was just that random Asian kid that Miss Hall forced to play piano in front of her 9th period music appreciation class. I was short, I was nerdy, and I was scared. Scared that even though my class size had jumped from just 1 student to over 800, I would still feel just as lonely as I had for the past 3 years. What I didn't realize was that everyone else was just as scared, just as nerdy, and just as short as I was. Maybe not quite as short, but you get my point. And to me, that's one of the most special things about Stuyvesant. To quote the great movie High School Musical, we're all in this together. We've all been in this together since day one. We all struggled to make new friends together. We all spent sleepless nights doing English essays together. We all applied to college together. And we all owned, and I mean owned, Sing together. And now, we're all graduating together. And to me, that's beautiful. It's beautiful because for 4 years, every day I would wake up in the morning and I would think, wow, I'm so excited to see my friends again. And I didn't care that I had so much work to do, or tests to study for, or projects to hand in, as long as I knew that I was a part of this community of students and teachers, this community of wonderful people. People who would always pick me up for their basketball team, even though I can't make a layup. People who would see me walk into their classroom half asleep and tell me that it was okay and I could go sit in the back corner and take a nap. People who would leave all their closest friends and even their food behind, just if I looked upset, to come sit with me in an empty stairwell for half an hour so I would feel better. So to me, this is what Stuyvesant is really about. I used to say that school was a home to me because I went to school at home. But now, I say it because it's where I feel at home. Because that's what Stuyvesant is for me, and that's what I know it is for you. A home, a safe haven, and a place where we all belong. 4 years ago, I looked down that bridge and I was short, nerdy, and scared. Now look at me. Well, I'm still pretty damn short. And I'm obviously kind of nerdy considering I'm up here speaking to you right now. But I'm not scared anymore. I'm not scared because I know that wherever I go and whatever I do, I have a home to come back to. I'm not scared because I have a community to support me, and teachers to advise me, and friends and family to love me. Speaking of family, I still want that dog, Mom. I know you're here, I know you're listening. Samoyeds, look them up, they're hypoallergenic, they're white, they're fluffy, they have the most gorgeous smile. You wanna know what I want for graduation? I want a dog. You promised. And after all, I believe that promises are pretty sacred. It's one thing to just tell someone you'll do them a favor or get something done, but I think it takes on a whole new meaning when you add in the word promise. So I take my promises pretty seriously, and I ask you to take one promise seriously with me. I want you to promise something. Promise that no matter what happens, you'll never forget. No matter if you end up living in New York or moving to Europe, never forget the bridge, the wall, Battery Park, or even the broken escalators. Whether you go on to become a lawyer or a doctor or a musician or an actor or a beloved teacher, never forget the people who helped shape you in your most malleable years. No matter if you're rich or famous or wildly successful, promise that you'll never forget where we came from. Never forget the beautiful people you met and the friends you know and love. Never forget the memories we shared, even when you're old enough to look back and just laugh at how silly we all are right now. Never forget these things because they're special, and once you forget them, you can't ever get them back. Because this is our home. So please, promise that you'll never forget the people, the places, and the memories that have turned Stuyvesant into our home. Because you know what, class of 2014? We've done it, we've made it, and it's time for us to finally leave home. Thank you.